Emer, business end of the season now, round 8, Clovers, they've already got a playoff place, and Edinburgh coming here to hopefully upset the apple cart for them.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a hugely exciting day. As you said, the Clovers are already going to be satisfied that they've booked their place, but they'll want to put on a performance, and they'll want to put on a performance that other teams will be looking at ahead of those playoff games, and really showcase what they're about. Some new combinations also will want to put their hands up for selection. So I think it'll still be an absolute competitive game, despite the fact that, as you said, Clover's already into the playoff games.
And Clovers, they'll want that home semi-final as well.
They will, and they'll want to try out the different combinations. There'll be players that will absolutely want to put their hands up to feature in that playoff match. That game, getting ever closer to the Six Nations, always room for flexibility for girls to go into squads, so they'll know that there'll be all eyes on those games. So yeah, huge performances will be expected today. Players will expect huge performances of themselves, and I think a hugely competitive game from the Clovers, yeah. One
player in particular, Ellie O'Sullivan-Sexton, getting her first start for the Clovers today.
Yeah, great to see her getting her first start. 10 is such a pivotal role, and we've seen Katrina Finn do so well, and we wish her all the best in her rehab journey. But great to see Ellie Sexton O'Sullivan make that transition up. I know she is in around that Irish setup, so great to see her get a bit more game time. It'll be interesting to see how she commands the game today, especially with Emily Lane inside of her, and then a very, very strong Clovers backline. But yeah, great for her.
For Edinburgh, it's been tough. Look, they're at the bottom of the table, but they have put in good patches in their performances, 30 minutes of good stuff, and today they'll be looking to build on that.
They will, and I think it'll just be about stringing together passages of really good play. We saw some great work from Nicola Marlowe getting that kick through for the try last weekend. I think just a little bit defensively, maybe overfolding, overcomplicating it, leaving some gaps around the ruck, which Saren Singleton massively was able to expose, and Saren Lockwood as well, out in the wing and in around the ruck. So I think just a few small areas that if they tighten up on that, they'll be able to be hugely competitive today, and not too difficult, very simple work-ons for them as well.
And a couple of changes in the front row for Edinburgh today as well. Yeah,
it's so exciting. It's always good to see players coming down and transitioning down from the PWR and having that relationship with the Celtic Challenge as well. So yeah, a hooker addition from a PWR player is definitely going to be massive. So excited to see that, and also some new debuts for Edinburgh on the bench as well.
The West, it's usually a beautiful place, but it's not today. It's wet. We'll be back with you shortly for the game. Another tough trip to Ireland, but this time you've been brought to the West. Looking forward to it?
Yeah, absolutely. New stadium. Excited to get out here in Galway and show what we can do against the Clovers.
Obviously, only one win so far in the competition, but there has been good patches in games. It's just been a bit of a struggle to put in that 80-minute performance.
Yeah, definitely. There's glimpses, isn't there? So, that's been the challenge for the last few weeks, and hopefully this week we can put in that 80-minute performance and give the Clovers a good game out here.
And plenty of switches in the front row this week. 2 of your changes coming in the front row. A debut for hooker Amy Henwood, and Molly Pillman is also back from injury.
Yeah, Molly coming back is a big boost for us. She's been out for 4 or 5 weeks now, so having her back is a real plus. And Amy's coming on just at the start of the week, so we're excited to see where she goes and in that hooking position for us.
Is there any particular improvements you're looking for from today's performance?
Look, I think we've got to be physical. We know we've got to match fire with fire, so we've got to be physical, and then we've got to earn the right to go wide, especially today. It's a wet day, so it's going to be tricky conditions for both teams. But we're used to training and playing in the rain, so we're looking forward to it.
Do you have to switch up your game plan when the conditions are like they are?
No, we're not. We think we've got the skill set. We're pretty used to cold, wet, windy. We train in it all the time, so it's quite normal for us.
Best of luck today.
Thank you very much.
Dennis, the Clovers have already booked their place in the playoffs. Does that take the pressure off a little bit? But I'm sure you'll want to get that home semi-final as well.
Yeah, for sure. We're very much focused on continuing that performance of what we're trying to do on pitch. Obviously today's a bit of a different challenge than the last couple of weeks, but look, we certainly want to secure a home semi-final. That's been the goal from the start, and then obviously we'll just go from there. We'll reset from there.
You're on a 5-game winning streak at the minute. Things are going really well. Some tough tests in there, but you must be pretty happy with how things are going in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's been very, very pleasing in terms of players getting opportunities and what they've done on the pitch, but most pleasing is how we've started to close out games. Obviously didn't do ourselves favours at times in games, especially in the second half of how we closed out games, but especially last week we were under the pump and we found a way to win and close out the game, which is very pleasing. So it's the group is growing as the weeks go on, and it's we're in a good place going into the last couple of weeks of this.
A huge opportunity today for your out half, Ellie O'Sullivan-Sexton, her first start in the competition.
Yeah, it's been very good. Yeah, she's come in and like I said last week, she came on and she played very well, and it's an opportunity for her today to showcase what she can do, and she's been training really, really well. She's integrated really well with the squad and everything. So it's it's an exciting time for her and an exciting time for the rest of the players to get another opportunity today.
And of course, you have a strong Connacht contingent in your squad today, and they have a huge opportunity to score a couple of tries on their home ground.
Yeah, it's great to be back here in the Dexcom, and players from here, they're very excited to get out there. So yeah, it's great to see a lot of the players coming from Connacht in this area. So it's it's a great opportunity for them, and hopefully we can get back here again in the business end of the competition.
Best of luck today.
Thank you.
We're approaching the business end of the Celtic Challenge season now. Both Irish outfits, the Wolfhounds and the Clovers, have already secured their spots in the playoff places. For Dennis Fogarty's Chargers, they'll be aiming to extend their winning run to 6 games. Today's opponents, bottom of the table Edinburgh, come in hope of upsetting the apple cart. And beside me today, as always, former Irish international Emer Carey.
Yeah, looking forward to being here today. We just see the league table there. So the Clovers are in second at the moment with 28 points, and Edinburgh in 6th with 6 points. Just that one win over Glasgow Warriors. So yeah, looking forward to today's game. We talked a bit earlier, Kieran, and we know that the Clovers have already secured their place in the playoff games. But still expecting a very competitive match here today. Some players looking to put their hands up for selection for those playoff games.
And a win for Edinburgh would throw them back in the mix for possibly a playoff spot, because 4 teams go through to the semi-finals, of course.
It would. I think it would be, a very uphill battle for them, but they have put together some lovely passages of play and some very good individual performances. If they could just string that together for a couple more phases, I think they would get across the line, and the leaderboard would look a bit different.
We'll just go through the teams now quickly. The Clovers have retained their front row of Siobhan McCarthy, Eulyn Ilian and Sive McGrath. Ruth Campbell captains from the second row alongside Faith Oviewi, with the back row consisting of Anna-Kate Kernan, Ailish Quinn and Jemima Adams-Verling. Emily Lane is at scrum half, and she's paired this week with Ellie O'Sullivan-Sexton, who gets her first start of the competition. The in-form Niamh Murphy, who has scored 4 tries in the competition so far, partners Alana McInerney in the centre. Connacht's very own Bevan Parsons starts on the left wing, with Chisholm Aguero on the right wing, and Aoife Corey continues at fullback. A Connacht woman, Siofra Hesson, on the bench as well, number 22. Now moving on to Edinburgh. Alison Wilson once again starts at loose head prop in a new look front row, with Pullman and Henwood beside her, the 2 changes this week. At lock, Adele Ferry and Natasha Logan start together in a familiar looking engine room. The back row is also unchanged, with Katrina Moody at number 8 and a flanker pairing of Alex Stewart and Lauren McGroddy. It's an unchanged back line, with Lucy McRae starting at fullback, and the back 3 of ever-present wingers of Hannah Walker and Kieran Bell. Hannah Ramsey retains the 12 jersey alongside fellow centre Rachel Phillips, and scrum half Emily Love starts alongside Nicole Marlowe. The rain has calmed down a little bit, Emer.
Yeah, hopefully. It was looking a little bit bleak earlier on from a handling perspective, but it definitely has calmed down, and the grounds look amazing. My first time in the new stadium, and it looks fantastic, so I'm sure the girls are really excited to play today. Expect a few handling errors, just given the wet ground and the ball will be a bit slippy, but definitely some fast paced with the players that are involved, and also it being that kind of astro lovely ground pitch.
We get a lovely view of the new stand here from the comms box.
Yeah, the whole place just looks fantastic. The ground is impeccable, but yeah, I think the weather definitely would have driven a few people away today.
Looking at the past results, as we said, the Clovers on a 5-game winning run, and for Edinburgh, they haven't won since round 2 against Scottish rivals Glasgow Warriors. It's been a tough season for Edinburgh so far, and the Clovers hitting form at the right time.
They are, yeah, as you said, 5 consecutive wins. They'll be very happy with that, and they'll be looking to build on that success. I think they've been hugely impressive across those 5 wins, just in the way in which they're playing. They're very patient and very happy to go through the phases. They're making lots of gain line with their carries, with their pack, very organised in their line out and their drill. And then when you have the pace of the players that the Clovers have out wide, you know, Bevan Parsons, Alana McInerney getting player of the match performance last week, Aoife Corey running some lovely lines as well, and then we see Chisholm Aguero on the wing. You know, they're the players they want to get the ball to, so combined with the pack that they have, they've been playing very, very well, and as you said, just coming into their form right at the right time with the playoff matches coming up.
Round 8, 2 more regular rounds of action after this, and of course an Irish derby to come in round 10, the Clovers against the Wolfhounds in UCD. That last weekend is actually all derbies, a Welsh derby, a Scottish derby and an Irish derby.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a very anticipated match this year, just given how the fixtures have gone. You know, very tight between the Clovers and the Wolfhounds initially, and I think the Clovers have just improved in their performances to date since then, so they'll be looking for a bit of a vengeance, I think, from that first game.
Hannah Walker leads out Edinburgh. Their Irish tour takes them to the west this weekend. And a big Connacht contingent in this Clovers side today as well, Eamon.
There is, yeah. We know predominantly this Clovers team would train in Galway and Limerick, so they'd have a lot of Connacht players on this team, which is great for them to, you know, be at home closer to family and friends, and, you know, put on a performance in their home grounds.
The Clovers out now as well, led by their captain Ruth Campbell. Great to see her back in action.
It is great to see her, and I was just watching them warming up, and she's been, you know, pardon the pun, ruthless when it comes to the line out. Just the drill and the level of standards that she would expect coming from that Irish camp definitely will elevate this Clovers pack, and it will help the newer girls that haven't been around that system really yet get to that level and really push on in terms of their own playing career as well.
Siobhan Daly is in charge today as the match referee, and we're off. Edinburgh truck it up straight away with the returning Pullman. Here's Ferry, one of the standouts in this Edinburgh side this season. Love, back to Pullman. They use her well. Often the crash carrier. The number 8, Moody. Marlowe engages her backline for the first time today. But the Clovers make their tackles, led by Quinn. Edinburgh building the phases, but not really going anywhere at the moment. Oviewi with the tackle. Going from side to side. No openings in that Clovers defence at present. They might decide to kick, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Marlowe releases it. Aoife Corey can run it back. Here's Bevan Parsons, the Connacht woman, how she would love to score a try on her home patch. The Clovers get moving, stringing the passes together. Campbell. McInerney in the centre this week. Kernan. The Clovers making meters slowly but surely. Sive McGrath nearly goes through a gap. McInerney, lovely flat pass to the line to McCarthy. They're coming left. Aguero can't take it. Messy ball, and we'll come back for the scrum.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of phases there before we had a handling error, so fair play to both teams. I think the Clovers, showing what the Clovers do best, they're not committing anyone to that ruck breakdown area, forcing Edinburgh to go side to side, and then when there's no gaps in the front line, you start thinking about that kicking option, as Nicole Marlowe did. I think Aoife Corey, just with the experience that she has in the exact right spot, but the Clovers will be happy with that, forcing their opposition to kick to them, giving them possession back and allowing them to attack. But Edinburgh has shown some very good defence there as well, forcing the Clovers to go edge to edge and ultimately making a handling error.
Love with the put in. As you say, the Clovers comfortable without the ball. Edinburgh try and work it to width, but a forward pass. And just lacking in execution there, Emer.
Yeah, I think they've identified the Clovers' defence is quite tight, and that space was out wide for Hannah Walker. Just a forward pass, unfortunately, on its way to her. I think both teams still just kind of trying to suss each other out, trying to see what way the teams are playing and the teams are defending, so that they can adapt their attack.
Shadow boxing.
Exactly, yeah. Chiz Maguero here is just slotted in behind Ellie O'Sullivan-Sexton, so nice to see her coming off her right wing and likely to try get her hands on the ball.
Emily Lane leaves it for her number 8. Adams Verling, the Connacht woman. Their first entry into the danger zone, but they lose a bit of ground. Aguero has to go back and tidy up. McGrath, she's been so good in this competition so far. Feels like she's been around a long time, but she's still only in her early 20s. Edinburgh standing strong in defence. McInerney goes again. O'Sullivan-Sexton, a huge opportunity for her today to stake her claim for that 10 jersey, but lost on the ground, and Ferry tidies up. And Edinburgh look to break down this short side, but 2 knock-ons, and we'll come back for the original.
Yeah, just a little bit unsettled, I think, from both teams. Clovers looking very well organised, but they seem to be going for that hard line or that front up option a lot. Ellie Sexton O'Sullivan is being an option out that back every time we see her, that if they do hit Niamh Murphy, if Emily Lane hits Niamh Murphy up first, Ellie O'Sullivan-Sexton is right behind her to be that backdoor option, but they don't seem to be hitting it as of yet.
Crouch!
But we'll see. Edinburgh not going to want to be in this area of the park. Nicole Marlowe just taking a few steps back. We would anticipate a kick to get out of this area for sure.
They truck it up through their centre, and she does really well. Does Ramsey, and Edinburgh almost break away. But now it's the Clovers on the counter attack. Aguero goes to ground. They want quick ball. McGrath, hungry as ever.
On the body, not
she needs support. She gets the support. O'Sullivan-Sexton. Parsons.
Release! 14.
Edinburgh crowd her out. Quinn juggles with the ball, but takes it well. The switch. McInerney. Lane beside her, but the pass doesn't go to hand.
I'd say the ball is a little bit slippy just from all the weather that we've had, because there has been an awful lot of uncharacteristic knock-ons from both teams that you wouldn't expect, I think, in that contact zone, so maybe it's just slipping out of people's hands. Alana McInerney, just unfortunate there as she was getting tackled, the ball slipped out.
Would be slippy underfoot. A lot of rain before kick-off.
Yeah, very, very heavy rain, and that Astro, it's great drainage wise, but the surface of the artificial grass can remain slippy, and as soon as the ball hits the deck, even from a scrum, it's going to be slippy immediately from that point onwards.
Astro's only undone by the snow these days. Ramsey again, the second playmaker in this Edinburgh backline, plays a good bit at 10 as well. Marlowe goes long, looks for touch, finds touch.
Yeah, I think they'll just want to get out of this area. Clovers will be happy to just sustain the pressure and stay in this area of the park. But Edinburgh will want to be, getting out of their own half so they can put some attacking phases together. But great lines ran by Hannah Ramsey. She's made gain line every time, and we see Edinburgh really wanting to get their offload game together as well.
Gillian with the line out throw.
But even the RFU flag there from the linesman is definitely blowing, so it is windy out there.
Ruth Campbell with no number on her jersey, but a familiar face no doubt. Oviewi through the middle. Campbell again, the leader of this team. The hooker is next in line, making meters all the time, the Clovers. O'Sullivan Sexton dinks one in behind, but well covered by the out half.
Yeah, lovely positioning there from Nicole Marlowe.
Another touch finder from Marlowe.
Yeah, and it doesn't appear to be as windy on this side if we're judging from the linesman's flags. That's the forward in me coming out. So, I think hopefully the line out will be a little bit more crisp for the Clovers here, just given that improvement in conditions on this side.
Back.
Another messy line out. And Edinburgh will be happy. A great defensive effort.
They will, yeah. And interesting, when I was looking at the stats before the game, Adele Ferry actually has the most line-outs won and line-out steals. So
5 line-out steals to her name.
Yeah, so she'll be very happy with the pressure that she's putting on. We know the Clovers are a great attacking team, but if you can disrupt their launch plays and their launching platform, as Edinburgh have done there in the line-out, you just disrupt the option for them to have it all on their own terms and to get their kind of starter plays going.
Hannah Walker as well, a dangerous weapon on the wing. 436 metres before today.
Yeah, I think she was unlucky in the last game, discipline resulting in her getting a yellow card for a high tackle. So it'll be something that Edinburgh will want to keep on top of this game. They'll want to keep 15 bodies on the park and keep their discipline really, really intact to not give any opportunities to this Clovers team.
This is good from Edinburgh, getting it to the edge. And an encouraging start from Edinburgh, disciplined in defence and trying to get their attack flowing. Penalty advantage.
White.
They have numbers out here on this left-hand side, Edinburgh, if they can.
They might move it quickly. McGrady to her winger. Walker to the fullback McRae. She steps back inside. Pullman is double teamed by Quinn and Campbell. Edinburgh putting the passes together, asking questions of this Clovers defence. Clovers dealing with the pressure well at the moment. Love. Campbell gets up, but there's an open door. Marlowe looking for support. Oviewi gets her in her clutches. And Edinburgh playing enterprise and rugby at the moment. Pullman
Advantage over.
gets it away to McRae. Loose hands there. They go down this short side.
They have numbers here as well.
Walker, but really well done by Aoife Corey to cut off the passing channel. And Sive McGrath, hands all over it. She gets her reward with the penalty.
Yeah, and I think the Clovers will breathe a bit of a sigh of relief there thanks to Sive McGrath. Edinburgh just playing really nice kind of jouet rugby with their offloading game. You see Sive McGrath, her body profile, she just gets so low for that turnover, and there's nothing Hannah Ramsey can do about it. So yeah, definitely going to be a sigh of relief from the Clovers there. They were under a little bit of pressure from Edinburgh, and Edinburgh had created a lot of lovely overlaps. Just unfortunately, due to the work of Aoife Corey, they couldn't make use of that overlap to get a bit closer to the try line.
Aoife Corey did really well to insert herself in that passing channel.
She did, and that's very difficult. If you have an overlap, if you're committing to wrap up both the player and the ball to prevent them offloading, you really are leaving yourself exposed that if you don't time it right, there's nobody defending the players out wide.
Aguero access scrum half. Here's McGrath. Gets through. So much work does Sive McGrath. O'Sullivan Sexton to Quinn. Decides to go herself through the middle. Lane under a bit of pressure. O'Sullivan Sexton relieves the pressure. Walker, so dangerous is the captain. Edinburgh looking to run at every opportunity. Aguero ready for the tackle. Kernan hunting for the ball. Edinburgh, they're up for this one. Pullman, again, a double hit. Something the Clovers have identified, no doubt, to stop Pullman. You need to work together. Marlowe rifles one to O'Sullivan Sexton. Here's Parsons. No knock on there. So Murphy goes on the outside.
Off your feet, let it come.
Nice hands from McCarthy to get the offload away. McInerney in close quarters. McCarthy tips it on to Campbell. Another tip on. And Aoife Corey. Can anyone stop her? Aoife Corey, like a knife through butter. The first try of the game.
Lovely work from Aoife Corey there. Almost identical to last weekend when she got her try as well. But yeah, just great handling from the Clovers. As I said, they do the basics very, very well. They were in their pod. Siobhan McGrath doing great work being asked. Sorry, Siobhan McCarthy, getting confused between our two front rows. But Siobhan McCarthy being asked lots of times to carry the ball up. But just that last minute tip on pass to Ruth Campbell, and Ruth fighting so well in that contact zone, getting the hands free to pass it on to Aoife Corey. We know the pace that she has and her stepping ability. She just makes the defence question themselves and runs between the two of them right under the posts.
And a straightforward conversion for O'Sullivan Sexton.
Yeah, and it goes to show they obviously, the Clovers pack and across the park, they have that familiarity with each other and the different combinations as to how each other play. Siobhan obviously knowing that she has Ruth on her shoulder, knowing when to time that pass, and Ruth being aware to keep her hands up for a pass rather than kind of getting ready to clear out for a contact zone area. So yeah, massive testament to them and the work that they've done cohesively as a group, and a great try and finish from Aoife Corey.
Kernan charged up and ready to go. Campbell, ever involved, was crucial in the build up to that try. The captain, McGrath, looks ahead of her. O'Sullivan Sexton spots a bit of space. Marlowe after this one. It's going to sit up for the out half. Just over the line. But the Clovers putting the pressure on. A little bit of work to do for Edinburgh. Marlowe does really well to get to ground and recycle. Pullman again. The Clovers will want to keep Edinburgh right here. No easy escapes.
Stay. Access is good.
Ramsey provides the exit. But the Clovers up and chase quickly there.
Yeah, Edinburgh did very well there. I'm not fully sure as to why Nicole Marlowe didn't just dot the ball down as it went over.
Maybe a bit confused.
Yeah, she seemed to nearly wait for the ball and shadow it until it went over the try line, but then they continued to play, which is quite dangerous territory. But they did exceptionally well. They got the support back to her and they managed to get out. But still a very good attacking place for the Clovers this area in the park.
Campbell, the target of choice, but not straight. Scrum Edinburgh.
Yeah, I wonder is the pressure from Adelphi and from that Edinburgh pack just getting a little bit inside the head of Ilian the hooker for Clovers. If it is in your subconscious that there's going to be a contest up there in that line out, you're trying to look for your player, and the tendency is often sometimes that the throw in isn't straight.
Let's go. Come on, Molly. Crouch.
Very.
Come on, Molly. Bye.
Won the Arnold Clark Premiership with the Cougars last season. Such a good player. Phillips, the centre, takes it into contact. Slow ball for Love.
Release now. Release. Oh, sorry.
McInerney was in search of that ball, but Edinburgh get it away. Here's Walker. Tricky feet. Murphy marshals her to the ground. The Clovers defence, impressive so far, making their first up tackles.
Release 7.
Yeah, it's hugely impressive, and getting numbers around that breakdown as well, so that they can get into a line, get numbers on, and rush up and put that pressure on. And that's what they get in response for it. They force the handling error and they get the possession back.
Sometimes when you face pressure, you do funny things, and that's exactly what happened with Edinburgh there.
Exactly, yeah. I think, Sive McGrath and Faith O'Vowie coming up together, when you're trying to catch a ball and you can see in your peripheral vision that your opposition is rushing up into your face, it is extra hard, but that's what the Clovers will want to do, and great work off the ball from them to get around that breakdown and get into those positions.
An ideal platform for the Clovers to launch something now in the 22. Options both sides of the scrum.
Yeah, Aoife Corey's stacking in behind Ellie O'Sullivan-Sexton, just meaning that the defence don't know what way they're going to go.
And you called it, Emer. That's the line they go with. McCarthy around the corner to McGrath.
Huge carry from Sive McGrath, making yards there.
Switching the angles all the time, the Clovers. Adams Verling, soft hands. Kernan driving for the line. Just short. Quinn, she wants it, she gets it. McGrath loves a try, does the front row.
Short. Wait for hands.
Campbell, the captain. Will she get over the line?
6 offside.
Just short. They'll go again. And they get the try. And it's the number 8, Connacht's very own, Jemima Adams-Verling, who comes up with the ball.
Brilliant, and a great try from them. They just kept their composure. They're very organised in that area. We can see that whoever's picking the ball, they have support inside and outside them, being able to provide that extra body weight to drive them over, but also getting a very quick clear out and a clear ball for Emily Lane to distribute again. And that's all stuff you work on at training. Like, we see the positioning of the latch, we see the positioning of the support players, and it just opens up the opportunities for the try.
Jemima Adams-Verling started her rugby career in Craig's RFC and was playing excellently in the AIL for Galwegians just before Christmas.
Yes, and involved in the Women's Six Nations squad for the upcoming Six Nations as well, so a testament to the work that she's put in.
One of the best underage stars from the West in recent memory, Jemima Adams-Verling.
I think there's a few, Kieran, especially on this
Quite
pitch.
a number.
Yeah, on this pitch as well. There's a number of exceptional players from the West.
She's part of that golden age.
Yes.
That under-18s team that won it all. Hannah Clark, Shifra Hessian.
Yeah, and it's great to see it.
Emily
Those
Foley
players,
as well.
yeah, those players coming out of the pathways and being role models for younger girls in all of those clubs, to take up rugby and to know that the opportunity is there for them, and that girls before them have done it, so that pathway is there.
And also Galwegians pushing for a playoff spot this year in the AIL as well.
Yes, back to winning ways, Galwegians are.
Captain, just be careful. Don't dive into rucks, okay? Drive, not dive, okay?
Clovers.
Ruth Campbell just getting a bit of a warning there not to dive into rucks.
Full of energy is Ruth Campbell.
Yeah, look, I think they seem to not be putting bodies into the rucks, this Clovers team, but then I guess when the opportunity is there, we've seen Sive McGrath get a turnover and Ruth Campbell also going in when she sees an opportunity. But you do have to make sure that it is legal.
Looks like Lucia Lynn is
11
coming in
white,
for the Clovers.
11
And
Clovers.
it's Parsons,
Stop, Clovers.
David
11.
Parsons, who's leaving us.
Okay. I wonder, is that something that would have been discussed earlier on? But Bevan Parsons has done very, very well so far. Defensively, great hits. She's been positioned well under the kicks and got on the ball as well a lot for a 20-minute stint.
An overthrow. Who will pick up the scraps?
Backwards.
Moody goes for it, loses it. And the Clovers get it back. Ilian goes into traffic. O'Sullivan Sexton. Oviewi, so good. I've been so impressed with her over the last couple of seasons. Murphy, O'Sullivan Sexton, Corey has the support of Aguero. And Chisholm Aguero, she loves tries. And she gets another one today in the corner and in the right corner. Chisholm Aguero.
Yeah, she has such pace and she can really turn on that acceleration so quickly. But great handling from the Clovers, knowing that they had the overlap. Lucia Lynn only just on the pitch, gets her first touch and does very, very well to get that ball to Aoife Corey. And great work from Aoife Corey as well, just to sit down Rachel Phillips with that 2v1. Rachel has to stick on her until that pass is gone, just maximising the space for Chisholm Aguero, who doesn't need an awful lot of space to get to that try line.
Chisholm Aguero, of course, scored a hat-trick in the AIL final just 2 seasons ago for UL Bows. And a sweet strike from Ellie O'Sullivan Sexton puts them 19-0 to the good.
Whenever you're ready. Perfect.
Aguero comes from a great sporting family. Her brother Ikem plays football for Clare.
Yes. And she's done very, very well for herself, coming onto the rugby scene, done very well with UL, as you mentioned, at the AIL finals. No stranger to the try line.
And
Lovely
Jemima
break.
Adams-Verling on the burst. And Adams-Verling, foot on the accelerator. Great tempo to this attack now. Aoife Corey. They're in the 22. Options aplenty. Adams-Verling again. So hungry. But extra rolling
Couldn't contest double roll.
gives the penalty to Edinburgh.
Yeah, I think possibly the clear out from Faith and Siobhan just took Jemima almost with her with that extra roll, yeah, and it just meant that Edinburgh couldn't contest. So unfortunate there, but a lovely break from her, and what gas that she has.
Hey, red.
But great work from the Clovers to identify where the space is, and they're really letting the ball do the work to go there. It can be tempting when the weather is bad to kind of run somewhere rather than let the ball do the work, especially if handling is a bit of an issue. But the Clovers team have really come into their stride now in the last kind of 10-15 minutes and really letting the ball do the work, doing very, very well.
They're playing the way they want to play, not the way the conditions dictate. Edinburgh had such a positive start to the game, but now we can see the Clovers asserting their dominance.
Yeah, and I think the Clovers have settled into this game now that they have a few scores on the board. I think it allows them both attacking to play a bit more ruthlessly, try the offloads, try the risky things. Yeah, and in defence it allows them to not feel the pressure to have to contest the ruck and get the ball back. Whereas Edinburgh, they're probably feeling the pressure to try narrow this score line down a bit to get into the right areas of the park and maybe forcing things a little bit too much. Possibly time to go back to basics and to string a few phases together and settle into it themselves.
A big squeeze at the scrum, Lane gets it out. Murphy out the back to O'Sullivan Sexton. McInerney breaks away, or Lucia Lynn breaks away from the tackler. O'Sullivan Sexton looks for her winger, but Marlowe gets in the passing channel,
Deliberate knock-on.
but illegally so, and just a penalty.
Yeah, I think it was just her fingertip. She was a bit unlucky not to get the intercept there. I think it was a bit predictable, to be honest. Ellie Sexton O'Sullivan going to Chisholm, and Edinburgh had the numbers there. But yeah, Nicole Marlowe just so unlucky not to get an intercept there.
And they're actually just giving a scrum,
I don't want to have to free kick yet, okay?
which is probably a fair result.
Yeah, I think so. The Edinburgh pack, scrummed very well in the last scrum.
Solid.
Emily Lane was under a lot of pressure to get that ball out for the Clovers.
Hold your weight, Red.
I wonder, with the addition of Amy Henwood from the Harlequins, is that giving them a little bit of extra strength in the pack? But a great scrum from them.
Amy Henwood joined the camp in Edinburgh this week on a short-term deal from the Harlequins.
Okay, straight out the tunnel.
An injury crisis at hooker
Straight out the tunnel. Okay.
for Edinburgh. Aaliyah Ronald suffering with concussion and not available today.
Yeah, and we wish her all the best in her recovery. But great to see the addition of Amy Henwood and some new faces in this Celtic Challenge.
The more players, the better. Emer, I heard you're back playing. Your phone might start ringing soon.
Yeah, back with my club, Blackrocks. They're really enjoying it. 2 games so far. It's nice to be back.
Lane puts it on a plate. But again, Edinburgh come in strong with the squeeze. But the Clovers get it away. McInerney, Corey comes into the line. Murphy delays the pass. Lucia Lynn
Back.
and Quinn. Slippy fingers. And the ball goes loose for the scrum.
Yeah, unlike Ailish Quinn there, but good pressure from Natasha Logan from Edinburgh. Edinburgh doing really well defensively as well. Despite the pressure that they put on in that scrum, they're still doing so much work off the ball to fill around and make sure that they're not short, with Clovers playing and attacking the same way. So really good work from them off the ball defensively.
Crunch!
It would be nice if they could kind of string a little bit more together attacking, because I don't feel like the scoreboard reflects their performance. I think they've just been a little bit unlucky with things not going to hand so far.
Edinburgh go route one again through the centres. Phillips that time. Ferry, so athletic. The second row always makes ground. Aguirre with a really good hit.
Oh no, leave it now, leave it! You're off your feet.
Moody. The loose head. But you just feel the Clovers' defensive line pressure is forcing Edinburgh to kick that ball away.
It is, and I think Clovers are, when it goes to the edges, they are getting hands into that ruck. Alana McInerney's going in, Chisholm's going in, and it's slowing the ball down a little bit for Emily Love to be able to distribute. So I think if Edinburgh could speed up that distribution, get bodies around, they could create the overlaps for themselves, make the handling a little bit better, and get some opportunities.
Campbell gives it to her scrum half.
Backwards and then knocked on.
They were both looking at each other there. Who wants to take that one?
Backwards and then knocked on.
I think Ellie O'Sullivan Sexton was going to plead her case and just said no, I'll leave that one. Yeah, just
I don't want to see another. Need a better picture.
a difficult one to catch above her head, as we said, with the conditions as well. Then a bit of confusion between herself and Faith as to who was picking that ball up.
And Emer, the Six Nations is just around the corner. And for both squads today, there are players that will want to be playing for Ireland or Scotland in the weeks to come.
Of course there will. All athletes have big dreams, and these athletes are no different. I don't think there's any one of them that would say they wouldn't have dreams of playing in a Six Nations. So
Advantage.
yeah, they'll all, every game counts, but as we get closer and closer, the opportunity to get that late call up or get involved in a training squad, the window gets narrower and narrower. So every performance from now on is hugely important, and girls will want to put their hands up.
So would it be at the forefront of their mind right now? We're in round 8 of the Celtic Challenge. They know there won't be as many games left in this competition, and time is limited to stake a claim.
I mean, it won't come at the expense of the Celtic Challenge. Girls know the performances matter, and I think they'll be working within their teams here, their team structures, team strategies, and their playing style. So it won't overshadow it, but they will want to put their best foot forward and put on a performance.
The Wolfhounds in action today in Wales, of course. Wolfhounds, they've been exceptional so far.
They have, and they seem to, have their sights firmly set on getting their name on that cup again, and they're absolutely going about it week in, week out anyway. Great to see some new combinations in there as well, some players in new positions. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how that game goes.
O'Sullivan Sexton swings the boot at it, and Marlowe can't take it cleanly, and the Clovers will have the put in at the scrum in a tasty position.
Yeah, I think the conditions could be kind of just slowly getting worse. A bit of a misty rain. I'm not sure if it's visible from the cameras, but it does look like that ball is slippy, and which will be difficult to catch, difficult to play wide, particularly under a high ball. So yeah, difficult for Nicole Marlowe in that position.
Edinburgh will look for a big shove again, trying to unsettle this Clover scrum, mess up the platform.
And it's hard having all these resets and scrums, because it's draining. You're giving max effort in your pushing, max effort in your drill.
Is that how you felt?
Yeah, no, it is. It's tiring for the pack. But as I said, I've been very impressed by the Edinburgh pack today and the pressure that they've put the Clovers under.
Space good.
Molly Pullman back for Edinburgh today is a huge boost. 21 years old, 7 Scottish caps. Was actually born in Perth though, would you believe?
I'm sure it's a lot sunnier there at the moment. But yeah, she's been asked a lot to carry today and has had some great carries. So yeah, 100% a huge addition back to this group.
O'Sullivan Sexton spots a little gap, but the door is shut. Adams Verling revs up the engine. Campbell hits the deck. McGrath, she's not going to pass. She wants the contact.
Penalty advantage.
Advantage for the Clovers, free play. Campbell looking to present that ball, but Edinburgh in the way, making it difficult. Not rolling away. Lane's not happy. They come left. McGrath, a lovely tip on to her hooker. McGrath again. Never tires. Emily Lane isn't happy at all.
Got your advantage.
Aoife Corey on the short line. Spins around. They want the ball quicker. O'Sullivan Sexton, cross field, and Aguero takes it, and Chisholm Aguero gets her second try, dotting down in the right corner again. But Ellie O'Sullivan Sexton spots the player and executes the kick.
What a kick from Ellie O'Sullivan Sexton. Perfect weight on that ball. They had the overlap from the bodies there anyway, so I was kind of thinking, did they need the kick at all? But the weight of that was absolutely perfect. Chisholm Aguero in the perfect position to be able to just run in. between Lucy McRae and Nicole Marlowe out wide. But I think it was something that they've definitely practiced. You could see Ellie doing those crossfield kicks with Bevan Parsons in the warm-up as well. So again, just all this being added to the armoury of how this Clovers team can attack, how they can score tries.
That's the bonus point in the bag. 4 tries. O'Sullivan Sexton, that one drifts away from the target. 24-0 the score. And a little under 3 minutes left to play here in the first half.
Time is on, let's go please.
Yeah, and just very difficult for Edinburgh. You know, they've done so well defensively. They've contested in the scrum, they've contested in the line out. Just getting caught by this Clovers team and the variety in which they can attack and how they can, you know, truck it up with some big carries and then go out wide to that pace, have a crossfield kick. It's very difficult defensively for them.
Marlowe gets us restarted.
10.
Out it goes.
Take the line.
Feels like when the Clovers took control, they were never going to give it back to Edinburgh.
Yeah, and that, as I said, that comes with when you go ahead on the scoreboard. You can kind of settle that little bit more, knowing that you're the ones that they're chasing, and you can kind of settle into your game plan.
Oviewi through the middle. O'Sullivan Sexton goes back to the boot.
No one, yes, one.
The ball's bouncing. McRae takes it to her winger Bell. Slow ball. Edinburgh use their forwards, this time Natasha Logan. But it's been very difficult for them to get any real go forward in the last half an hour. O'Sullivan Sexton went backwards. Aguero already looking for a hat-trick. Drilling in the legs. Quinn around the corner. Lane switches the angle of attack.
She's making the effort. Well done, White.
Lucia Lynn. They get it to the edge. Oviewi, the second row. Finds herself on the wing. McGrath tips it on again. They've done that a few times today. Precise tip-ons, working every time. But Ailish Quinn, the commentator's curse.
Yeah, the tip-ons are nice. It just allows them to get outside of that defensive edge. It lets them be a little bit more dominant in the collision zone, get a little bit more gain line, and then if your inside person that gave the tip can latch over and can drive over, you're extending the length of that ruck, and meaning the defence have to get around. If you've a quick distributor like Emily Lane, by the time the defence are around, she's already thrown the ball. So it's a bit of a tactic and a strategy you can do to maintain the overlap and get the ball out wide.
24-0 the score. The bonus point in the bag already for the Clovers. Chisholm Aguero with a brace, but it all started with the Aoife Corey try, and then one from Connacht's very own Jemima Adams-Verling. And we'll go through the highlights here quickly. Aoife Corey, nobody was going to stop her when she got going.
No, such a strong fend from her, and just trusting her pace and trusting her step to be able to run in under the posts between the two. But you know, great vision. She knows exactly that Nicole Marlowe is coming in and Lucy McRae, so she kind of steps to make them question as to what direction she's going to go and who's going to have her, and ends up going under the posts.
This was front up rugby. Jemima Adams-Verling, I'm sure she had dreams when she was younger of scoring in this famous Connacht ground.
Yeah, just testament to the drill of this Clovers team. They're all in position, they're all organised, and although it's only the first half, the variety of tries that they can score, we've talked about front up rugby, and they go from front up to the wing with this pace from Chisholm Aguero.
Chisholm Aguero, it's quite simple really, well executed. get it to the wings, put the ball through the hands.
It is, but that would come from the interplay between Aoife, Corey and Chisholm as well, you know, playing together in UL. Aoife would know exactly when to draw and pass, and you know that takes practice to know exactly for Chisholm not to overrun it as well. So just that cohesion between the combo of the pair of the girls, you know, great to see that them linking up again here for the Clovers.
And her second try, a product of a crossfield kick from Ellie O'Sullivan-Sexton. 24-0 the score, and we're going to bring you highlights from last week's game between the Clovers and Gwalia Lightning before we return for the second half. Enjoy.
They met in round one in a 10-try thriller that finished 35-31 to the Clovers. Will we have another cracker this afternoon? Gwalia Lightning against the Clovers kicks off at 1 o'clock. Short again, some 3 metres out. There's McCarthy carried that time, and they pick and go again, go the open side. Ideally, you want quite a passive tackle, but they go wide, and a lovely line by Aoife Corey, and she does crash over. She had an earlier chance, but this time she takes it. Opening score goes to the visitors and to their fullback, Aoife Corey.
It's a great line by Corey. She comes direct. It's hard in that instance. Gwalia are on their line, under pressure for multiple phases. You've got to credit Clovers here. They've gone through multiple phases. They remain patient. But here you see the short, hard line. Beats Molly Anderson-Thomas.
Reardon trying to get onto the ball. Good carry again by Elise Quinn. Oh, that's a lovely line and a lovely ball. McInerney goes over for the Clovers. A lovely ball, a lovely line, well worked, and you got to say it was on the cards. That try was coming. A second for the Clovers.
Yeah, well worked, lovely line. McInerney, but great ball as well. And you're right, Rhys, they have been pressing. We're a quarter into this game almost. And it's been mainly Clovers at the moment. But look at that, just delayed pass, that pump lets the defender bite. And that line just opens up, and it's a nice and tight line. Makes it hard for the defender to make a read.
McGrath. Evine McGrath with a carry. There's Hessian out the back door. Niamh Murphy, lovely ball. McInerney looking for a second score. Chopped down in a tackle by Caitlin Lewis.
McInerney's been dangerous as a 13 today as well.
Lovely out to inside line. Oh, and trotting all the way through. Niamh Murphy. Not had that much ball in the second half of the Clovers, but when they've had it, they've looked dangerous. Niamh Murphy over for their third score.
Yeah, right, Rhys. They haven't had much ball, but clinical, accurate when they have. Struck well then, and everything I think this Clover side does. The intent to go forward. We see Murphy there, and we just seen McInerney just before that. But they're looking to attack forward, be threats with it.
Ball slowed down. And Bryony King and Lily Terry, I think, going forward there. Now the backs have it. Hughes pulls the ball back. Prudhoe to replacement Courtney Greenway. That's the way to make an impact. Crashing over. I thought they botched it for a second. As the ball got to Courtney Greenway, she cut back inside. She's been on for what, 30-40 seconds, and she's got the Lightning back into this game.
You're right, back into the game is key. A hugely important try for Gwalia, and Courtney Greenway still had a lot of work to do. I thought, give her the ball here into space. She's a dangerous winger, but great cut back inside. And look at her physicality against Murphy as well. Really good work by the GB winger.
The pick by Bryony King. Does she get her knees to the floor? Yes, she does. They have advantage. Aloe Pearce waits, goes low.
No advantage.
Bryony King taps and goes. Just short of the line. Some serious pressure now on the Clovers. The arm is in the air. I couldn't tell you who scored, but I can tell you it's someone from Gwalia Lightning. Is it Evie Hill? I think it is. The last to rise, and the Lightning are back with a flash.
Oh, it's game on here now in Astramanach. We've seen Evie Hill do that numerous times this season from close range. She gets herself into a great profile. Nice low leg drive. No, she hasn't got far to go. Profile is everything. Gets herself over. If Hughes kicks this, it's a 5-point game. It's a big play as well, actually, because at the moment Gwalia have a losing bonus point. Whereas if Clovers score again, they pick up a winning bonus point, and Gwalia lose one, and I'm not sure what that would do to the league standings, but it might have an impact.
Well, the Clovers still want to play. Niamh Murphy with a carry.
That is time.
There's the call. That is time.
Yeah.
Will they look for the safety of the touchline? Or will they go for a fourth bonus point try? The answer is simply no. All Dixon said, I've seen enough. Off the ball goes. An entertaining clash at Ystrad Mynach. We thought the Lightning were dead and buried early on. 12 points adrift at half time. 19 points adrift at parts of the second half. That back they came. 2 tries and a losing bonus point. I don't think they'll be too happy, Sean, with the performance, because the final score reads Gwalia Lightning 14, Clovers 19.
And we're back for the second half. 24-0 the score. Aoife Corey opened the scoring. Jemima Adams-Verling with the second. And then 2 tries from Chisholm Aguero. And Emer, 24-0. But Edinburgh, they had a positive start to the game in those opening 20 minutes, but have struggled ever since.
They did. They definitely pressured the Clovers team, and they themselves in attack looked very organised and had their offload game going. I think they'll really be hoping for a good start here. They can't really afford to let the Clovers into their own half. They need to pressurise, keep them there and try get the ball back so that they can start this half on their own terms.
Kernan takes it in. First touch of the second half. Quinn presents well. O'Sullivan Sexton goes long and finds touch.
Yeah, very clever kick from her. Kieran Bell was just up in the defensive line, and Lucy McRae was kind of slotting deeper, almost expecting a longer kick. So very clever from Ellie O'Sullivan Sexton to spot that gap between the two and position the ball so that it's going to go out.
We were chatting off air. You've been really impressed with Ellie O'Sullivan Sexton on her first start for the Clovers today.
Yeah, I have. It's not easy to start and it's not easy to slot in, particularly in the position that she's in. But I think, she's done very well distributing the ball. She's communicated very well between Emily Lane and the backs outside her. She's identified where the space is, and she's gotten the likes of Niamh Murphy and Alana McInerney on the ball a lot. And then it's hard not to talk about that perfectly weighted kick across to Chisholm. It's like all those things and the variety of how the Clovers have scored does come down to your playmaker and their decision making and the organisation that they've done. She's worked very, very hard off the ball as well to come around and be an option. So yeah, been very impressed by her so far.
Lane puts it in. Murphy has options. Lucia Lynn into the line. O'Sullivan Sexton, the orchestrator again, but a loose pass. They lose some ground. Ruth Campbell is dealt with. Natasha Logan. Kernan goes to ground. Campbell again. Always wants the ball. O'Sullivan Sexton squeezes through a little gap. Murphy to her centre partner McInerney. Good continuity to this attack.
Yeah, and Murphy almost acting like a second 10 as well at times. They seem to be hitting her, which allows Ellie to go out the back and create that out the back option. But it's important that the backs outside them, we see there they've kind of dropped off, which meant there was no deceptiveness to keep the Edinburgh defence engaged, and it just allowed them to know where the option was going to be and to put pressure on it.
Edinburgh get the penalty. High tackle. I think Emily Lane is just getting a little bit of treatment there now. Hopefully nothing too serious. Katie Whelan, of course, on the bench, started this competition playing for the Wolfhounds and drafted across to the Clovers last month.
Yeah, she'll have worn up both the jerseys this season. But again, a very good option to have on the bench. She is lightning quick at an athletics background, Katie Whelan has, but also a very good eye looking for the sniping option. And we've seen her get a number of tries sniping around that ruck.
I'm not 100% on this, but she could possibly be the first person to play for the Clovers and the Wolfhounds.
Definitely, possibly in the same season. I know Maeve O'Leary has worn both the Clovers jersey and now on the Wolfhounds, so she's not the first to wear both jerseys, but possibly in the same season, yeah. But I know, I think Brian McNamara wore the Edinburgh and Glasgow Warriors jersey in the same season in the past, so may not be a first.
Open up, pick a line, please. Thank you.
Very fingertips on the ball, but the Clovers come away with it. Quinn.
Let go now, let go.
Campbell, often first receiver. Aguero has support on her outside, declines to pass.
Rock, no hands!
Adams Verling got a try in the first half.
I think Aguero just hurt herself a little bit in that collision zone, just getting a little bit of contact here on the left-hand side of the pitch.
Stewart hits McCarthy in the tackle. O'Sullivan Sexton goes back to her kicking boot.
Retreat, four white, hold.
And really well positioned from her for that receipt back. She hasn't got a huge training age on her. She's played since she was young, so you can see the rugby IQ for sure. But it's really impressive to see, her rugby IQ has developed so much and she's positioned herself so well across the park.
A bit of kicking tennis.
Yeah, it does get to that point in the game as well. Just trying to play the game in your own area of the park and who wins that kick battle. The line out seems to, as we talked about, conditions not great today. I wonder are Edinburgh trying to hit the back a bit more to avoid maybe the contest from Ruth and Clovers more towards the front. But that's a very hard throw for your hooker, particularly if it hasn't gone to hand.
Chisholm Aguero looks to be in some discomfort here. Lucia Lynn already on the pitch for Bevan Parsons.
Water off, please.
Thankfully,
Water off, please.
appears to be moving well after getting a little bit of treatment, so hopefully nothing too serious.
Red in.
Back to the line out we go. Adams Verling slaps it back. Oviewi. But coming at speed. Around the corner are the Clovers. Knock on from Emily Lane.
So unfortunate and absolutely not typical from Emily there. I think Alana nearly wanted to go again. She'd released the ball and was trying to get up. Emily just took her eye off the ball a little bit to see the defensive line from Edinburgh on this short side and just a knock on there from her.
Alana usually plays in the back three, but playing in the centre today a little bit different.
Yeah, it will be different. She won't really be used to having the players outside her. That whole skill that we've talked a lot about from Aoife Corey, the drawing and passing, the 2v1s, the releasing the players outside you. You don't get to execute that and get familiar with that if you haven't been put into those scenarios a lot before. But great to see her in a new, in a different position and just getting exposure to that.
Hannah Walker, still full of energy.
Easy.
Murphy
Roll that red.
puts the scrum half the ground.
No, leave it.
Stewart from the base. Ruth Campbell
Tackle, release.
standing tall in the tackle. McCarthy made her debut for Ireland in that 150th test against Australia. But
Edinburgh just trying to find some gaps in this Clovers defence.
Clovers quite tight with their defence at the moment.
They are, and they're getting up so quickly from the breakdown as well that there's just so many people on feet. It's making it very hard for Edinburgh to actually generate any gaps themselves from their play.
This time, Alana McInerney comes shooting out of the line. Going nowhere at the moment, Edinburgh. Credit to Clovers' defence. And they get their reward.
Yeah, I think Edinburgh just trying to force something there. Lisa Brown trying to get the underarm offload. Scrappy there from Edinburgh, but I think it's all the Clovers' defence, as we said. they're getting off their feet so quickly that there's just no gaps being generated in that defensive line.
The Clovers head to Edinburgh next week in the next round, and then finish in round 10 at the UCD Bowl against familiar opponents, the Wolfhounds.
Katie Whelan on now for Emily Lane. So as we talked about, a great sniper option. She always looks, she'll be asking questions of the Edinburgh defence around the ruck.
But Edinburgh get a present at the scrum, straight down, penalty. And that's the one area of the game where Edinburgh have looked really strong today.
They have all today. Their scrum attack has been very good. Scrum defence, but how they've been attacking their scrum defence has been very good.
You're red. Here's our mark.
And a chance for them.
There is a very good platform, very good area in the park. I imagine the Clovers will stay down, which means Edinburgh don't necessarily need to go to the back. So I'd like to see them, going more towards the front or the middle and just securing the ball to allow them to play.
Henwood. Potentially their first visit into the 22.
Inside the 5.
Henwood from the back. The maul is the machine, but they have to use it. Bell. Tricky feet. Creates a path.
Exceptionally well, she does.
Edinburgh getting closer. Stewart. But there was a knock on in contact. And Whelan assesses her options. And the Clovers, they want to run it. Lucia Lynn puts the head down. Makes a good bit of ground. Brings them to the 10 metre. McGrath followed by Campbell in support. McCarthy trucks it up. Kernan.
Let go.
McInerney to O'Sullivan Sexton. Nobody to take the pass.
Okay, knock on. No advantage.
And knock on.
Yeah, I think possibly just got a little bit spooked, Ellie O'Sullivan Sexton, by the defensive line. Tried to get that switch option between herself and Aoife Corey, but I'm not sure, was there a miscommunication between them, and unfortunately just a knock on there.
Crossed wires.
Keep it up, please.
The Clovers already know, of course, that they're in that semi-final. The next question, will it be a home semi-final?
Crouch! Bind! Set! There we go, came down this time.
Scrum goes straight down, but on both sides, so it's going to be a reset.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a mismatch, the scrum.
Okay. Go again.
Different kind of infringements at different times. Hasn't been as clear cut as we would like, or as either side would like and their management would like. Lots of restarts.
Come on, Hannah. Crouch! Bind! Set!
A solid scrum from Edinburgh yet again. Marlowe to the substitute.
On the body, not the ball. Roll away now, okay? On the
Lisa
body,
Brown.
not the ball.
But again, Edinburgh decide to kick. There was a foot block in there, so it should be an Edinburgh throw-in.
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit of panic from Hannah Ramsey there. She put her hand up almost to apologise straight away. But there was huge pressure from the Clovers to challenge that kick,
Thank you.
forcing that error.
Back 10, please. Thank you.
Have struggled to get the attack firing, really, Edinburgh. The Clovers very well set in defence.
They're in a minute. I'll keep an eye.
They keep it narrow, keep it compact.
Yeah, and a lovely threat there from Ruth Campbell disrupting that line out.
Easy there, easy. Easy.
Ruth Campbell,
Right, red.
somebody you'd know really well being in that second row.
Yeah, I would have played with Ruth in the Leinster interprovincials, her first year up at senior, and she's just gone from strength to strength, really, from interprovincial level up to Celtic Challenge, and then in with the Irish team as well. So yeah, great to see her leading this pack come into her own as well. But she's so quick off the ground in that line. To have her at the front is such a difficulty and such a threat to the opposition hooker. She'll be in their eye line, she gets up so fast, and if she doesn't get the ball, she makes that knock on happen. So a huge asset for the Clovers, and definitely one you want at the front of your line out.
Rosie Searle is in now for Jemima Adams-Verling.
Here's our mark.
And also there's a change at hooker.
Here's our mark.
Beth Budimer. There's actually no change at hooker. I thought there was. It looked like it was going to happen.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of confusion there. Ilian went to leave the pitch and then brought back into the scrum.
Whelan looks for the support. The pass is loose. And here come Edinburgh on the breakaway. And will they get over the line? It looks like Clovers have bodies underneath that one, and Lisa Brown.
Oh my gosh, exception work.
Lisa Brown flying away.
She had so much gas and was making the gap between herself and Lucia Lynn, but Lucia is so fast
Time off, injury.
and managed to land on her back, which meant that her supporting players could come back and get under the ball. So huge defensive effort from Lucia Lynn, but what pace from Lisa Brown.
Something out of nothing for Edinburgh.
It was, yeah. I think Katie Whelan had delayed that pass to Niamh McCarthy, or what am I saying, to Niamh Murphy, which just made it a little bit obvious where it was going. So Edinburgh put that pressure on and got in between that.
Lucia Lynn so determined in her chase.
Okay.
Yeah, and great work from Alana McInerney as well.
Behind the ball.
Lucia made the initial tackle, but Alana could get her body underneath the ball, which meant it couldn't be grounded.
Backwards.
Marlowe. And Brown has made such an impact since coming on for Edinburgh.
Great hands from Lucy McRae there.
Bell gets them to the 22. The loose head.
Now, red.
Edinburgh looking to make something happen. A bit of energy to their play now.
Lifted.
Ruth Campbell,
Roll red. Roll
so
red.
good both sides of the ball, in attack and defence, the second row. Marlowe tips it on to Stewart. They go to the wing, but no space for Walker to work with. And
No.
she loses the ball.
I think the Clovers are flying up in defence,
Line out.
which is just putting that pressure on Edinburgh front line. And unfortunately, when they get in a couple of phases, they don't have a backdoor option, which means you really can't kind of counteract that flying defence. They're up in your face, you're putting pressure on yourself to catch the ball with no real out the back option.
Absolutely. I'll make
So it would be nice to see, even a couple of phases earlier, if Edinburgh could either take a few extra steps deeper just to allow themselves more time on the ball, or have an out the back option to almost negate that flying Clovers defence.
Beth Budimer is in now at hooker. Her first line out, a messy one, but the Clovers crowd Edinburgh out over that touchline.
Yeah, she's straight in on all the action, Beth Budimer. Great to see her back.
In again, please.
Beth Budimer, one of the most exciting young talents in Irish rugby at the moment. But again, Edinburgh get up, this time through Stewart, and steal the ball.
They have numbers out here, Edinburgh, on the right-hand side. If they can quickly, use their back line, use the overlap to their advantage.
Edinburgh, one quick ball. Ramsey out the back. Walker always comes in off her wing, wants to get involved. Moody is sent back. Still an advantage, and they're going to take that advantage now.
20 red offside.
Rosie Searle offside.
Offside.
This is better from Edinburgh, Emer. More intent to their play, more intent to their attack.
It is, yeah. I think they're up against a very well-drilled Clovers team, but they're definitely playing in the right areas of the park. They're definitely, together and organised in their structure. They have support there. They have their pods shaped there. Just, I think, not identifying where the space is, maybe that phase or two earlier, which would allow them to get into the correct positions to give them an opportunity. But as you said, definitely better for them this half, and they've really stayed in an area of the park where they want to be playing.
Harewood finds her target.
Early hit advantage.
An early hit and an advantage for Edinburgh.
Penalty advantage.
Benson. All forward work. Edinburgh on the doorstep. Back for the penalty.
Early hit. Mark's over here.
Marlowe wanted to go quickly.
Just so unlucky not getting the mark, them wanting to play quickly.
Still on. One down. On the 15.
Their maul, Edinburgh Maul seems very well organised. They know exactly where they are. If they're not in that lifting pod, they're coming around to get into the right plugging position to be able to get that momentum, and they're moving straight away as soon as that jumper's feet hit the ground. Clovers anticipating the jumper's feet landing and hitting too early and getting penalised there.
Your penalty on the 15. So wait till one gets up and we can have a time back on.
Edinburgh,
Okay.
they can smell a try.
Time back on obstruction and line out.
They deserve a try. They've worked so hard.
Lisa Brown has been exceptional since coming in.
Yeah, and so unlucky to be denied there. As you said, the scoreboard isn't reflecting the performance today.
Ferry, so often the reliable target. Here comes the maul.
Brought down by White.
It was brought down.
No, leave it there. Leave it there.
They want the ball. Benson gets it out. The time is now for Edinburgh. They truck forward and they get the try, and it's Hannah McMahon who comes up with the ball, and they deserve the try, Emer, and they've got one.
They absolutely did. Especially I'm very impressed from that line out on the maul. Adele Ferry, a maximum extension, maximum height in that throw. Like, that's very difficult to do to pinpoint it that exact. The maul was moving straight away, and the organisation, we can see the support from Adele Ferry and Natasha Logan for Hannah McMahon, just adding the extra body weight behind her to drive her over that line. So delighted.
Hannah McMahon, the substitute, comes off the bench and scores the try. A good conversion from Marlowe, 24-7. And about 18 minutes left to play here in the Dexcom Stadium.
Yeah, I think that the extra power was just very difficult for Rosie Searle to try tackle Hannah McMahon.
Subs all on? Yeah. Whenever you're ready. Hold.
Lisa Brown, as you said, has been so involved since she's come on. Great take from her from that restart.
23, let go.
Clovers tried to fire through. Such a strong counter ruck, and they get the penalty. Look at the energy. Beth Budimar fired up.
Yeah, and you know, you just have to make that decision if you're going to pressure that, and you have to do it as a collective. Clovers could see it was a little bit of a slower breakdown there. I think Katie Whelan possibly leading the charges there to attack that, and then you know her fellow players coming in behind her, and look what they've gotten from that decision.
Budimar. An overthrow, loose, scraps, and Edinburgh get it back. Marlowe, cross field. Aguero shepherds it into the hands of Aoife Corey. McGrath in great scoring form as well. Aveen McGrath.
Yeah, she's been so impressive. Just her pace and strength, either it's close quarters or further out on the pitch. Another one that's relatively new to the Celtic Challenge on this level, but absolutely showing that it's, you know, not phased her in any way, shape or form.
Edinburgh winning the second half, if you want to look at it in 2 games, so positives there.
Definitely, I think they're having to work harder than they maybe need to. I think the Clovers are getting to play in positions of the park with a little bit more ease, and perhaps from their decisions from kicking or more tactical, but definitely a much better second half performance from Edinburgh.
This time the Clovers apply the pressure, but Edinburgh get it away. A lovely step from Marlowe, evades the defender. She resets it up. Clovers
asked to carry there,
trying to keep it up to get the turnover, but Edinburgh get the ground, or do they, in time?
Yeah, I think it's Beth Budimar and Ailish Quinn getting the taps on the back there for that.
Beth Budimar, she must have missed it.
She's straight in on all the action. Again, just this Clovers team, they're so ruthless. They never stop. Like, whether it's a breakdown immediately after a restart, contesting it, or even there, it would have been almost easier per se to make the tackle and fan out in your defensive line, but they want the ball back. They know that if they can get in together and hold that up, they'll get the ball back and be in an attacking position, and that's exactly what they do.
Whelan. And again, Clovers straight down.
No, Mark's over here at the edge.
And Edinburgh want to play, but again, not following the mark.
Yeah, I think Alex Stewart almost pleading for the play to continue.
The referee following the letter of the law. No exceptions.
Yeah. But Edinburgh just looking to get out of this half. Hannah Ramsey being tasked with the clearance kick.
Hannah Ramsey started at out half when she played the Wolfhounds in round 1 at Donnybrook. A versatile playmaker.
Definitely, I think Clovers have kept her a little bit quiet today, as per her standards. But a great rugby IQ again.
In.
Stewart knocks that one back.
Yeah, ref in a perfect position to see that. I think just went to Alex Stewart's outside hand, which is never a picture for a ref that a ball is ever straight.
Line out's has been an issue for both sides today.
It has, and I do think, as we've talked about before, I do think it's down to how both teams compete. When there is a contest, it just gets into that hooker's eye line, gets into where they want to throw the ball, and maybe the easier option is to deviate, throw a little bit slightly towards your side to favour your side.
O'Sullivan Sexton lets it bounce. And Aoife Corey takes it, gives it to Alana McInerney. Both from Ennis. Alana McInerney and Aoife Corey, products of their great rugby club.
Ennis doing very well in the All-Ireland League as well.
But again, the Clovers lose ground. Buttimer wants to go forward.
Let go, 18.
The Clovers on the back foot at the moment. Campbell wants to get them going again. Searle doesn't get much purchase off that carry. Edinburgh showing no paths, no easy routes. Lynn to Campbell. Campbell goes again. Buttimer wants to recycle. Slowly but surely, the Clovers working their way towards that try line.
Anna Kay Kernan nearly taking the harder option to go back in through the contact.
Buttimer, front up rugby, and Beth Buttimer. An impact from the bench, and Beth Buttimer gets a try on a return to action.
Yeah, I think it's kind of in those stages of the game where fatigue starts to kick in. I think it's been hard for Edinburgh to defend so much. But again, just the organisation between the Clovers pack, a high tackle, I think, around Beth Buttimer's neck there, but she managed to get her profile low and to ground that ball.
Beth Buttimer in and around that Irish picture at the moment, and she must have been raring to go.
20 seconds, 10.
Yeah, I think she just loves to play, no matter what level it is. But what a talent given her age. And definitely one to watch for the future. Great to see her in with that Irish group. She'll learn so much from all the coaching expertise, but also from all the players in there. Cleena Maloney MacDonald, I'm sure, will have lots of useful tips for her. So yeah, great to see kind of the younger generation getting in there, and definitely one to watch for the future.
O'Sullivan Sexton adds the extras, 31-7. And Emer, you need to start thinking about your player of the match. I'll come back to you in a few minutes.
I'll take it as the warning
for that answer. That ball jumping all over the place. Double knock on, Clovers scrum. Of course, an action-packed day of rugby in the Celtic Challenge and elsewhere.
Seconds now! Let's go, girls. Crouch! Let's go, Annie. Bind! Set!
Quinn off the back, bounces forward. Whelan slips out of the hands.
Straight down.
Didn't go to plan. And now Alana McInerney from a standing start.
Let go now, let go.
Kernan still has plenty left in the tank. The back row.
Brought back in. Hold. No, wait. On now.
Marlowe looks to Walker. McInerney comes up hard, makes the tackle, and it's been stolen illegally.
The rip was good, then plays off your feet.
Ailish Quinn's original rip was good, but punished in the aftermath.
Yeah, just playing the ball when she was off her feet there.
And the scoreline probably isn't a fair reflection on how evenly matched this game has been.
No, it's not, and we've said it throughout the game. I just think because of the defensive pressure from the Clovers, Edinburgh have had to work exceptionally hard for anything they've gotten, and exceptionally hard to find gaps, and exceptionally hard for their try. So
The openings have been harder to come by for Edinburgh.
exactly, but they've stuck at it. They've defensively pressured this really, really good Clovers team. So it's lots of positives to take for this Edinburgh team.
Campbell with the steal. And Clovers, they want to play, and they want to play at speed. Lucia Lynn can't take it.
Yeah, I think the missed pass from Alana McInerney was just at the back side of Lucia Lynn's hands, which is difficult to catch when you're kind of running at the pace that she has up the wing.
And it's great that the Celtic Challenge Irish Tour added a new destination to their list, the Dexcom Stadium.
Yeah, it is. It's a lovely stadium, and it just makes the game more accessible to all the women and girls on the west side of Ireland, to be able to see this game, see the pathway, see the opportunities that are there for them, and encourage the growth of the sport.
The Dexcom Stadium, Virgin Media Park, Donnybrook, the Kingspan have all been used, or the Affidea I should say now. Edinburgh, they just want to play. Hannah Walker, she's so fast, still going. Edinburgh with a pep in their step.
If they can just play on top with this momentum.
Marlowe with the inside pass to Ramsey. The Clovers have reset in defence.
Roll red.
Benson. Phillips loses the ball. Maybe focused on the on-rushing defender.
Advantage over.
A low pass from Marlowe.
Yeah, I think fatigue is just kicking into this Edinburgh team. It's hard when they lost such territory there from just a simple handling error that they have to rebuild from 20 metres back. You know, there has been some performances, individual performances that have been very good, and as you said, if the Edinburgh team can just string together those phases of play, there'll be more opportunities. I think Lisa Brown, we talked a lot when she came on, you know, so involved, so unlucky to be denied of a try herself from that lovely break. Adele Ferry has also been one that I felt in the line-out has featured quite heavily, stalwart with many a collision, being asked to either carry it up or make the contact herself.
And what about player of the match, Eamon?
From the Clovers perspective, you know, there's been lots of people that have impressed. I think Aoife Corey obviously opened the scoring, has been very present in the back field. We had Chisholm out wide, also, you know, running lots of support lines. But for me, I think the overall player of the match would be Clovers number 8, Jemima Adams-Verling. I think, you know, she showed her gas, showed her pace, showed her fend and her vision, and also just very solid across the game as she was asked to carry either an open play or more close quarters towards the line. So for me, player of the match today is Jemima Adams-Verling.
Okay. Time back on.
The Connacht Starlet gets the player of the match award.
Okay. You must keep it up. Yes. Let's go! Come on! Cross!
Not long left to go here. 3.5 minutes.
Bind! Set!
Is there one more score in this game?
I know the Clovers love to play. Even last weekend, there was question in almost the 79th minute if they were going to continue to play. They'll want to, you know, get as many points on the board to affect that league table.
And that penalty will go a long way in trying to find one more try.
Exactly, you'd expect that they'll back their launch play and back the line out.
O'Sullivan Sexton. Been really impressive, has the young out half. Taking her chance with both hands.
She has, and that's exactly what you have to do. You know, you never know how often these opportunities are going to come, and I think she's done exceptionally well today. She looks calm, she doesn't look out of place. You know, she's kicked very well, she's distributed very well. I think she's done exceptionally well with the opportunity, as you mentioned.
Access, red, access.
Buttimer, first job at the line out. She completes that task. But again, commentator's curse. I should just stay quiet.
Yeah, it's such a funny one. We're seeing it more and more across all levels of the game. Like, typically, Edinburgh or a defensive team wouldn't attack that line out. You know, you'd stay on your feet and maybe anticipate the maul or anticipate having as many bodies or feet on park. But you know, if you contest that, you are putting the pressure on the hooker to make that throw straight. And that's just what's happened there, and it's coming across all levels of the game. We're seeing it in the men's game as well. It's a risk. It's a high risk if you're going to compete in the air that close to the try line, but high risk, high reward, and it's worked out for Edinburgh in this case.
A little over a minute to play. Edinburgh on their own try line. Hack it away.
Backwards.
Aoife Corey dancing around. And a Kate Kernan finds Searle on her shoulder. Quinn, another player that has stood up today.
She has lots of lovely turnovers and just carried so well whenever it's been asked of her.
Buttimer with the no-look pass. O'Sullivan Sexton.
Under a lot of pressure there from Hannah Ramsey.
Knock on in the tackle.
Knock on in the tackle.
Nice, Hannah. Scrum only.
Kieran Bell was hoping to get on that ball, but unfortunately for her, we come back for the scrum and probably the last play of the game.
You would imagine so, yes. Edinburgh's scrum being very impressive today.
Mark.
So huge positive in lots of areas for them. I think their line out, the threat that they've had at the line out. This is a well drilled Clovers pack, so the pressure they've put on the Clovers in the line out, the pressure they've put on them in the scrum, I think lots of positives to take.
Clovers will go 6 games unbeaten now after today. Only 1 defeat on their record against the Wolfhounds. Will they find one more try? Alana McInerney. Everybody wants a go. Lynn wheeling with the zippy pass. Aguero on for a hat-trick, but that's it. Bobbles out of the hands. 31-7 the final score. 6 on the bounce for Dennis Fogarty's Clovers. They move closer to securing a home semi-final. For Edinburgh, they stay bottom of the table, but positives in patches for the Scots. But 5 tries from the Clovers is enough to get them over the line and put 5 more points on their tally on the table. 31-7. All the hard work done in the first half. The final score. The Clovers chasing down the Wolfhounds on that table. Will we get 2 Irish semi-finals? It looks likely. And we're just looking through the highlights now. The second try by the player of the match, Jemima Adams-Verling. Chisholm Aguero for her first try in the first half. Open road in front of her, nobody to stop her. Tidy in the corner. O'Sullivan Sexton, precise with the kick. In the bread basket for Aguero. That was the bonus point in the bag. Lisa Brown looked away, home and hosed for the first try for Edinburgh, but great defensive effort from Lucia Lynn, stopped her in her tracks. They did get their first try through substitute McMahon. Deserved for Edinburgh. But it was the Clovers who had the final say. Substitute Beth Buttimer from close quarters. Emer gone down to interview player of the match, Jemima Adams-Verling. We're going to look at the fixtures for next week. The Clovers go to Edinburgh to face the same opponents. Gwalia Lightning play the Wolfhounds in Wales, and Glasgow Warriors host Britton Thunder. Of course, games happening at the moment. The Wolfhounds away to Britton Thunder. And Gwalia against Glasgow Warriors. Gwalia Lightning hoping to be the next team to book their place in the Final Four. With fixtures ongoing, our table it's 7-12 between Glasgow and Gwalia Lightning. Macy Davis in great form for Gwalia Lightning at the moment. One of the best players in this competition so far. We'll be going pitch side now for the post-match interviews. Enjoy. Emer's just getting in position. Jemima Adams-Verling, what a moment for her. A Connacht player getting the Player of the Match award. in the Dexcom Stadium. Stuff of dreams. A beautiful stadium with a brand new stand, the Dexcom. Stuart Lancaster, of course, the head coach of the Connacht men's team. The URC back in action next week. But the Clovers continue their winning ways here today. 31-7, 5 tries to 1. Dennis Fogarty will be delighted. His team moving in the right direction, collecting wins, keeping the pressure on Neil Alcorn's Wolfhounds. And there are the updated scores. And quite a shock. Britton Thunder, according to our scores, are 14-0 down against... Or Britton Thunder are leading 14-0, I should say, against the Wolfhounds. And that should be a final result. So quite the upset. Wolfhounds' first defeat of the season. And Glasgow Warriors 12-7 to the good. And here is our league table. 35 points for the Wolfhounds. The Clovers right behind them on 33. Gwalia Lightning so close to booking that final 4 spot. One more victory will guarantee it. Glasgow Warriors, they're in 4th at the moment, but Britton's win throws a spanner in the works, and they're pushing for that final playoff place. The Wolfhounds, their first defeat of the season. Not many would have predicted that going into this round. And the players signing autographs, talking to their families. Another win. And Emer is down there, ready for the post-match interviews with Dennis Fogarty and Jemima Adams-Verling. The rain died off. Slippy ball today, underfoot as well. Galway, a beautiful city. Galway, Cork, Dublin, Belfast have all been used in this grand Celtic Challenge Tour. From an Irish perspective, the final, of course, of the Celtic Challenge will be held in the Hive Stadium in Edinburgh. In the last weekend of March. Jemima Adams-Verling heading for the tunnel. And now Emer is in place for the post-match interviews. Enjoy.
What was your overall assessment of your team's performance?
I think we played well in patches. There's certain areas that we probably need to tidy up on in terms of, I suppose, set piece and stuff. We need to clean up going into the remainder of this competition, because that'll become really, really important. But I think overall, getting a bonus point win here in the Dexcom is very pleasing as always. And obviously Ellie with her first start, getting Bay back into the team. There's other players coming in and pushing that. So it's been a competitive squad. So I think overall it's been really, really pleasing.
Absolutely. And how important was that result for this group at this stage of the season?
I think it's really, really important. It's like we're taking each game as they come, and I think getting close to that home semi-final, and that's what we've wanted all the time, and getting back in here for a semi-final, which has been really, really important for us. But I think growing the group overall, I think I said it last week, of the number of players we've used. I think we're into well over the 40s now, which is really pleasing, and making a competitive squad going into these last number of games, which is really important. So to have that and be able to transfer it into our training is going to be very important.
Yeah, I imagine that makes the selection decisions very difficult.
Yes.
And Jemima, congratulations on your Player of the Match performance.
Thank you. 6
consecutive wins and a playoff spot confirmed. Yeah. How excited is this group for that?
It's just amazing. Like, every single game we've brought something new or brought the intensity way up. Like, it's just so exciting to even have maybe a home semi, and just all the work. It's all the work we put in a training coming out to play. So it's really good. Brilliant.
I know this is your swamp, where you're a part of the world. What does it mean to play in front of a home crowd?
Oh, it's so nice. And like, especially with the new stadium here as well, just like getting games in here and getting to experience the new dressing rooms and everything, it was so special for all the Connacht girls.
Brilliant. Well, congratulations again, and best of luck going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to hear from Jemima Adams-Verling and her head coach Dennis Fogarty. The Clovers, 6 wins on the bounce now, 31-7, 2 points behind the Wolfhounds at the top of the table. They've booked their place in the semi-finals. The next step to get a home semi-final. Round 9 is next week. We'll be back with you then for a fresh round of Celtic Challenge action. See you again soon.